My name is Bennie, executive producer at Oddworld, and worked on New and Tasty, now Soulstorm. I think my mic's a little loud, but
no, you're great.
all right, perfect. And I do a little bit of everything. As an EP, normally I try to stay high level, but yesterday I was in the editing suite. You name it, it's like from one to the next. Technical, art, do it all. So
perfect.
Yeah, on my end, I would say I really geek out on the technical aspects of pipelines and whatnot. As a previous rendering TD, those deferred rendering, physically based materials, all those buzzwords mean a lot to me. But in practice, I think using Unity, and for my team and Lauren Lanning, which is our creative director, all of that stuff just disappears with Unity. Like we're never really talking tech so much because it falls away under the hood, and it's more of what can you do, and it's really whatever you want to do. It's when you put materials on objects and you've already set up your scene properly, everything just shows off as it should. More like I remember in the past we used to, fake a lot of things and set up a ton of lights and try and really simulate what the real world would look like in our universe. But all of that is gone except for like optimizations. It's really, a director can sit down and just create his vision, and the tool responds like it would if you were building a feature or you were building something that wasn't even a game but was more of a cinematic quality in nature. And when I look at each frame now that we produce, Lauren's aesthetic for atmosphere and lighting, it's very moody, and it really pushes kind of, I think, what most engines could do today. But Unity just seems to handle it in stride. We don't really have any challenges artistically, right? We're always looking at how can we make the frame rate faster and things like that. So I think we win so far for being the smallest internal team. It's really just Lauren and I, Lauren on the creative side, and then myself, producing and technically just bringing those skills to bear. But, it's crazy. It's for TD. When Lauren dreams up ideas, concepts, they're so vast and they're so broad, your heart and your soul just leaps out of your body because you go, there's no way we can do those things. but before, it's just impossible on any console, any platform. It just shouldn't be possible at all for us to hit those levels of quality, to hit his vision the way that he sees it. But fortunately, around the world, the industry's grown. And so we have resources from Canada and from the UK and from the US, and we really look at a pool of individuals and we go, who's the most passionate and talented, right? And really wants to build our characters, right? We have a phenomenal engineering team, and that never hurts, right? For any engine anywhere to have a world-class engineering team, but we sourced our entire engineering team external as well, and our entire art production team is done external. And so internal, we're a very small, tight hub, where Lauren will just say, I want to do 1 million things today. And I go, okay, well, we'll figure it out. And the team, I'm very proud of everyone, but it really starts with Unity because we're all connected through that one hub, and with it, we've been able to achieve his vision to the point where recently I think it was for me as a producer, I love hearing these things, but Lauren said, I've never produced CG to this quality before in my career, right? And that dates back to Rhythm and Hues and all the work he's done. And for an engine to be capable of those things, and for our team to be able to add what we want into it, and add our own flavor and our own special sauce, it's pretty impressive that we're able to achieve so much.
That's awesome.
Well,
we always start with just stay calm, right? The world's not going to end today, may end tomorrow, but today we just need to gather all the information. And so on our team, we have just an interesting story. We have one technical artist. And when we recently started doing some cinematic work, we told him, okay, you're a technical artist that handles a lot of our scripting and other things, but I need you to work on cloth today, right? We need cloth, visual effects, fire, smoke, a million different things. And he's like, well, I haven't really done cloth before. I said, that's fine. You'll figure it out tomorrow, and you'll be a pro by the next day. And sure enough, in each case, right, Unity's been flexible enough for us to be able to do those things. So all of our prototyping is very rapid iteration. And that's I think, in order to create a AAA product, right, best-in-class product, you have to be able to iterate extremely fast. And Unity just has allowed us to do that exceptionally well.
Cool.
Yeah, well,
I think for New and Tasty, we went with it because it was a product that allowed us to go wide. We have a lot of legacy IP that we wanted to find a home for and figure out how to easily convert them to as many platforms that we could possibly be on as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And so looking at the landscape at the time, it was, well, Unity was kind of new out of the box for us, and it was a good opportunity for us to say, well, we can go to mobile easy, right? We can go to console easy, right? And we can take these legacy IPs and remake them economically and be able to distribute that to all the countries around the world and different languages. And it was just a very scalable option. And then it became, now that we've achieved that, like, how do we go back to our roots of like feature film and up the quality bar to the point where when you're looking at it, it always looks like you're looking at a movie. And so that was kind of the linear progression for us in the thought process. Cool. You know, I'd have to second that. It's on my team, it's the exact same thing. It's scriptable render pipeline, and maybe a close second would be GPU-based particle instancing would be the two big ones. But you know, I hear from my technical art team and my art team all day, every day, when is the scriptable render pipeline coming? Because we want to optimize these things, and we want to do these, we want to hit this frame rate, blah, blah, blah. And it's amazing, that they're always educating me on this stuff. They're like, this is a new thing, call Unity, right? We want to know when we can get it. So they're really excited.
Well, the answer is now in the beta.
Now, yeah, I'll take it.
well,
I'm fortunate in that I don't really have to get my hands dirty too much. I can
I had to
stay high level and make sure everybody else is doing those things. But this comes from my art director at Frema. He said if there's any way we can speed up the light bake time, he would be forever grateful.
Did you see the GPU light mapping yesterday?
I did, yeah.
That's a pretty cool improvement.
Yeah.
Being able to offload all these things to the GPU, and it's pretty, it's amazing. Yeah.
I would say as a general rule, right, if you have a critical demo that is key to your business, don't make the build the day before the demo, right? And it's not fully tested, because you'll end up in ER, and as the producer being responsible for all those things. We're always, it's generally complete chaos, even though it may seem controlled. All of these pieces are always moving, and you're juggling, constantly to stay on target, on time, but then something always happens. You have this build that's 20 minutes long, and you're playing through, and you're like, this is great. And then as soon as you show the client, the first thing you see is a pink billboard right at the very beginning, and you're just like, oh, but those are things easy to recover from. But I would say those are, just always test, constantly test before you show anything.
I have a little addition.
I'll say on my end, I think it's it's an educational arc on your learns and the information you gather. I think it's good to work in both, starting with having that big studio experience where you can specialize in a thing or maybe in a few things, and really hone your skills and hopefully make most of your mistakes on someone else's dime until you come full circle and then realize, well, now I have the skill set, right? I've been there, done that, and so now I feel real comfortable leading a team of X number of people that I'm investing in, because I at least know that my calls won't ever be 100% right, but I'll be at least in the ballpark of what needs to be done. And that saves a lot of headaches and a lot of empty bank accounts, so it's not so bad. But I enjoy small development after spending a lot of time in bigger studios, because I get to wear almost every hat. Like, my title is almost irrelevant at the studio. We don't really talk about my position as an EP. It's like, well, we need somebody in the editing bay today. Well, that's going to be me. We need somebody to look at lighting. Well, that may be Lauren or myself. There's something wrong with rigging, and there's too many joints, and we have performance issues, right? Well, let me sit down and look at your profile and try and work with you on those things. And so I enjoy, because I was able to go wide in big studios, I enjoy in a small dev environment that I can go deep on each issue and really kind of internalize and help spread that knowledge to the team.
Cool.
Well,
I would assume it's similar with all of us up here, but you have to be cut from a certain type of cloth to want to do this, because it never gets easier, right? It only gets harder, and the difference is, and you have to love that challenge, but for us, it's small team development. We bet everything on red, and we spin the wheel, right? And hope that when the product gets out there, that people love it, that they invest in the brand, that they want to come back as repeat customers. But with a big team, you can kind of sit back and go, well, the product shipped, and whatever it does, and it doesn't really necessarily affect me, right? Or even the company to some degree. But in small development, you're either making a hit, right? Or you could be gone tomorrow. So the drive is always like, if it's a 15-hour workday, right? It's a 15-hour workday. It's whatever it takes to get across the finish line and produce something that hopefully, when people look at it, guys like us can sit on this panel and say, it looks like best in class because the entire team has given everything to it. So.
Yeah, and 15-hour work days can be a lot of fun, actually.
They can, when it's going well.
Yeah. The passion has to be there.
It does.
I hate them exclusive unilaterally, but fair enough.
Yeah. I started programming on my Apple IIe, and I wanted to make a flight simulator, and there were no graphics. It was just text-based, like each line, yes, no, and that's really what started me. But it was luckily a funny story. My dad and I share the same name. And I was at UCLA at the time, and there was a program called 3D Studio and AutoCAD. And they had it at an educational discount for $1,000, which was massive amounts of money for my dad at the time. But luckily, we had the same credit card that he gave me for college. And so, what's the worst that could happen if I just took this card and bought it? And I timed it out so I knew that you could return software back then. And I knew that after 30 days, he couldn't return it. So I purchased it exactly at the right time and then locked myself in a room and just learned every aspect of 3D Studio in DOS that I could until the point where I knew the reckoning was coming. And then it was too late. He said, wait a minute, I spent all this money to send you to UCLA so you could play video games? Like, that was the last thing on earth my dad ever wanted me to do. But he saw that I was passionate about it. Right? And while there was nothing in college at the time that was geared towards what I was interested in, he could see that at least there was something there in me that every night, like, he would go, you're still on that computer, you're just waking up? And I didn't sleep. Like, I just stayed up through the night and into the next morning because I was so fascinated by all the things I could do and just watch every line render one at a time, right? I haven't seen that in a long time with real-time graphics, but it was like I would analyze every single line that would come up on my little screen. And that was nirvana for me, and I knew that whether it was games or film and television, I knew I wanted to be in CG, and I wanted to create realistic worlds, and I wanted to, program things, and that was kind of my origin.
All right, Jake?
And I think just piggybacking on what they said, it's everybody's case is different, right? And no one model works for all of us, but for us, it's very much like cutting through the noise. There's so much noise out there, and so I look at a product like any, ours in particular, and I say, what's special about it, right? Why this? Why would people want to buy this product, right? And I just, in simple sound bites, like in a marketing 101, I just try and list out those points and I go, well, this feature is meaningful. This adds impact. And ultimately, we try to make decisions not just on what we like, but what we believe will sell more units. And so those are part of the thought process as we go into it. But for, grassroots marketing, a lot of what Oddworld does is, we are non-traditional in a large AAA studio model where if you have a $1 million budget, you maybe have a comparable marketing budget, right, to push the product out and to get it as widely distributed as possible. We depend on the generosity of others, and so we really befriend the communities out there. We do our homework with Twitch streamers and YouTube, and we try to figure out what motivates them, right, to want to promote us, because the model of paying for, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of marketing is just not our model that we exist on. So, we really spend a lot of time to communicate with those communities. We go out of our way to build tools in the product to make it easier for their users to be able to engage in the product, and that goes a long way. And we even try to do some cameos here and there for people that are super fans, hardcore fans of the product, say, you know, would you like to be part of our product? And they, you know, so those are just some ideas.
Ulf?
And I would say, you know, define what success means to you, right? If you're a large AAA developer, maybe success means 10x return on their investment, right? But for a small indie, you know, maybe 2x is massive, you know, success for you. And so by doing that, you can kind of not feel the overwhelming pressure of what success really is to others, but it's for your business, for your game and your property, right? What does it mean to be able to make another game? What do you need? And I think for us, it's very much, we look at success, you know, realistically, and we look at it and we say, well, here's how much, you know, we believe the product should conceivably do, right? And then we try to hit those metrics. But it's, you know, in a perfect world, we try to hit all those metrics. But yeah, that's how we do it.
The takeaway from this is apparently that small teams think about how to sell their game a lot. This is like the longest answer that we've given to anybody.
Yeah, we think about it a lot.
You know, you have to think about the money a little bit.
And I was just going to say, from my perspective, there's no silver bullet, right? There's no one solution that says this will work and it's going to be a success. What we try to do, and we do often, is fail fast, right? We isolate a certain amount of time and resources, and we go, we're going to try something new and see if it's sticky, see if it's something that people gravitate to. And if they don't, right, extremely fast and just cutting it. And ultimately, you know, our calls will never be 100% on mark, right? But what we hope is that over the course of a production, all of those little decisions, right, add up to something that ultimately is well received by the public.
Well, I can only speak